Welcome once again to Strange Planet, and on this episode, the globalist cabal, Project Monarch, and the military-industrial complex. I'll be speaking with a long-time targeted individual. Michael Fitzhugh Bell is back with his third book in a series of above-top secret government programs, delving further into the dark unknown reality of neurological weapons technology, the formula money plus power equals control. And Michael is under 24/7 military surveillance monitoring, illegally placed on the terror watch list. Multiple stealth helicopters, he says, hover from dusk till dawn over his house and property. Trillions of U.S. taxpayer dollars are believed to be diverted annually, funding covert black programs controlled by the globalist cabal. Remote wireless brain-computer interface is real and a proven technology capable of reading a person's thoughts and putting data back into the human brain in real time via a supercomputer. And under the guise of counterterrorism, millions of unwitting innocent citizens are being exploited as human experimentation test subjects. So, he says, let the reader be forewarned, this information is disturbing, although educational to a general public that remains willfully ignorant of the existence of such atrocities. And the third book is American Cyborg. Michael Fitzhugh Bell, welcome back. It's been a while. How are you?
Well, Richard, nice to be back.
It's great to see you. This is the first time, actually, we've met via the webcam over Zoom. So, for those not familiar, because it's been a while, and you've been with me on Coast to Coast as well, I believe.
That's correct.
Just give us I read a synopsis of your new book, but give us a brief synopsis of your hellacious life, really, over the last, decades.
Yeah, I can tell you, I can give you a brief introduction. What happened to me, actually, when I look back with clarity, probably has been going on for all of my life. I remember things as early as 3 or 4, but it wasn't until December of 2001 that I became aware of being targeted. And what happened to me is I was a writer in an apartment in Los Angeles. One night I was drugged and abducted from my apartment. I remember the perpetrators wearing frightening masks, and at one point lying on a stainless steel table with a bright light shining on me, and surgeons wearing surgical masks standing over me. I woke up thinking that it was the next morning, but to my horror, I discovered that it was actually 8 days later. And my body was riddled with dozens of tiny, corresponding and symmetrical covert cosmetic surgical incision scars. I consulted with several private investigators and a former CIA agent that informed me that it sounded like I'd become what is known as a targeted individual, and I'd possibly been implanted with advanced nanotechnology biomedical devices. So I traveled around the world, literally around the world, collecting medical evidence in the form of MRIs, ultrasound, X-rays, with verified and validated real doctors' reports, all clearly showing foreign objects directly beneath the covert surgical incision scars. The private investigators and former CIA agent all told me that I was likely part of a massive field test and illegal clinical trial of human experimentation using classified technologies. This is really recognized as the most advanced weapon system ever created by mankind, and a weapon in every sense of the word. This program is widely recognized as an unacknowledged special access program, believed to be part of the military-industrial complex, which is composed of the military, Black Ops, the military, the Department of Defense, NSA, Department of Justice, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. A human experimentation program that causes extreme psychological terror as well as physical torture. This kind of illegal human experimentation is considered a war crime and is the highest ranking type of capital crime punishable by the death penalty. It's been estimated that as much as a third to as many as 50% of Americans have been estimated to have already been implanted with non-therapeutic, non-consensual RFID biomedical implant technology without their knowledge, permission, or consent. Technology is way ahead of the law. The law has a lot of catching up to do.
Um, these implants, did you have any of them removed?
I had one removed from my jaw. That's in my first book. Um, I had one removed from my front left jaw, lower jaw, and I photographed it, but the doctor would not allow me to keep it. If I were to do it again, I should have been able to keep it because it's something that came from my body and it wasn't something that was um, supposed to be there. So if it was a bullet or something like that, that would be the chain of custody would go to me, and that's where this fell. But it was taken away from me. I was lucky to get a couple of photographs of it.
And we should mention the previous two books in this now three-book series, The Invisible Crime, Part 2. And the latest is American Cyborg, The Globalist Cabal, Project Monarch, and the Military-Industrial Complex. What were you hoping to achieve with this third book?
I'm trying to pull back the veil of the corruption that's going on in this country and around the world right now. This particular program that I'm a part of is probably the biggest conspiracy in existence of mankind. There are many other conspiracies to consider, but even something like, I'd have to say something like a conspiracy about aliens would have to take a back seat to this conspiracy as it concerns every human being on the planet. And it's pretty powerful.
So can you explain kind of a typical day, if I can use that word, typical, in the sense of, how you are being affected by whether we're talking about remote wireless brain computer interface or some other technology? How is it impacting you on a daily basis? When does it start? How does it, how long does it last, and so forth? What are the effects?
Well, it's difficult to describe, but it's it's sleep deprivation, that's for sure. You'll never, if you're a targeted individual, you will rarely, if ever, experience natural sleep again. Um, the I don't. There are certain targeted individuals that get something called V2K, which is voice to skull technology. That's in simple terms, but really what it is BCI, or brain computer interface technology. That's what I'm experiencing now. And so, um, for instance, the perpetrator group that is responsible for me right now, there's an invisible neural interface between my brain and the technologies of the perpetrators that have connected to my brain frequency, and also through what I believe to be implants throughout my body, but in particular the neural implant. Um, Most likely the IBM 2020 neural chip has, or some version of it, um, has been inserted into my brain without my permission, knowledge, or consent. So it's it's a it's a challenge to survive. It's You have to learn to adapt. You have to be positive. You have to turn the fear into a focus. Uh, if because fear is one of the most easily manipulated emotions that target individuals are hit with. Usually, it would be either the two easiest ones to manipulate. It seems in my research that fear and anger are two key emotions that will shape a person. If you can control those things, you can effectively control the person. So it's a terrible reality. It's everyone's worst fear come true. Uh, um, it's it's really adaptation to survive.
Can you get relief by stepping into some sort of a Faraday cage, or are you able to, uh, you know, filter out or block any of this technology?
Well, there are places that you'll feel better than others. For instance, if I'm outdoors, if I'm climbing a mountain, if I'm somewhere like, for instance, this building that I'm in right now, my house, um, I rented it originally and then I ended up buying it. But now through my through my research, um, I found out that most likely the house was completely set up for me before I even arrived at it. And when I'm gone, sometimes there are telltale signs that people have been in my house, no matter what measures I take to prevent people from getting into my house, cameras, digital microphones, those type of things. The perpetrator group has unlimited resources and knowledge, and they know everything that I'm doing. They can see it in real time. They're able to, um, I believe, read my thoughts in real time. So there's really not much I can do. Uh, I'm literally, my hands are tied right in front of me, and there's not much I can do about it. But I do what I can to minimize their access to my residence.
Since we last spoke, and that was when you published your second book, Invisible Crimes 2, what more have you learned about the perpetrators?
Well, I've learned a lot. Each I think in the books, in the three books, it's kind of a progression in terms of what happened to me in my story, and as I learn more and more, there's more for me to write about and share with the readership. Um, it's evolutionary in that respect, but I believe this third book, American Cyborg, um, goes further than the other two. But each one is a jumping off point for the next. So I try not to repeat too much of the information I've already given to them, to the readers. But I'd say the third book is definitely um, the closest to being complete, as much as it can be with someone who's a victim of advanced technologies, um, with and also being at the high end of the target list. In um, my research, just to let the listenership know, to be a targeted individual, there are many different types of targeted individuals, and there are many different programs within this mind control program. The one that I'm at is one of the highest levels. I know this because I've spoken with people who are at the same level, and it's unbelievable the amount of money that is spent annually. The estimate for me alone for a single year, you have to understand, when you bring helicopters and ground based technology and radar and um, lasers, all of these things that are being used on me here in the mountains. The annual cost is estimated to be in excess of $10 billion for me, just for me, for 1 year, just for 1 year. It's amazing. And with the
Sorry, Michael. How did you arrive at that figure?
well, it's not hard to understand when in a given night, uh, this is this is through my research, the helicopter targeting, which we've never talked about before, which I don't believe any other of your guests have ever spoken about, is the most advanced format for monitoring and surveillance. Once you're placed, like I have been, I believe I've been placed on the terror watch list or the counterterrorism watch list. That opens up, that gives the perpetrators, the group that is targeting me, part of the government, that gives them the authority to do whatever they want. They gives them full surveillance, full monitoring, 24/7. The helicopters are just part of the program, but they are one of the most expensive aspects of it. It takes at least 3 helicopters and or several drones to triangulate the telemetry between the targeted individual on the ground and the helicopters in the air. And they're there. It's all about data extraction. And the helicopters, there's on a given night, I mean, I've counted as many as 30 or 40 on a given night. And I can see the difference between a drone and a helicopter. And there's also satellites involved in this too. So, and also classified aircraft that are in, things that you've never seen before that are in the sky. But to keep, just to keep one, just to give the listenership an idea of just one helicopter, one UH-60 Sikorsky military stealth helicopter is somewhere between $60 and $70 million to have that aircraft. Now you're going to have a full crew with backup pilots. You're going to have technicians on board. You're going to have other people involved. You're going to maybe have a crew of anywhere between 4 and 8 to 12 people on an aircraft. And each aircraft has a different responsibility. And so you have many different, and they need to triangulate. So they need at least 3 helicopters to triangulate, to get the signals that are coming off of me. And that's another thing that I didn't realize too, is that there's as many as 30 or 40 up there almost every night, all night, every night. And the fuel, if you factor in the aircraft, the fuel, the crew, you're talking anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million or more per night per aircraft. So if there's 30 or 40 of them up there just for one night, that could be in excess of $30 million for one night. So people don't understand that, and that's coming out of taxpayer money. That's money that I'm paying in my taxes to target people like me. The abuse of the abuse of the military funding. If the funding stopped, the targeting would end. It's all about the funding and the military machine that keeps this thing going.
Michael, we'll take a quick time out. American Cyborg. That's part 3 of his ongoing series, The Globalist Cabal, Project Monarch, and the military-industrial complex. Back with more of our conversation right after these. What would it feel like to reclaim your health, your vitality, to sleep deeply, to live fully, to address health at the root, at the cellular level, so that your body can detect damage where you have it. Imagine living younger, longer, having the energy to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Discomfort fading away. ASEA Redox Supplement harnesses the power of your body to heal itself, giving you the ability to power your potential. This is one of the most profound health, athletic, and anti-aging discoveries of our lifetime, and we need the world to know about it. If you want to learn more about ASEA, visit strangeplanet.teamasea.com, strangeplanet.teamasea.com, and be sure to text or call my colleague and friend Lynn at 443-254-6024, 443-254-6024 to order or for additional information. ASEA Redox Supplement. It's truly wellness redefined. And we're back with Michael Fitzhugh Bell. Michael is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, classically trained chef who has worked in hotels in Austria and has worked in some very well-known restaurants and hotels in America. He spent several years working in the entertainment business in Hollywood as a motion picture catering chef and aspiring screenwriter. He also trains for and does high-altitude mountaineering, climbing big peaks around the world. And he is the author of The Invisible Crime Part 2, and his latest, American Cyborg, which is detailing decades as a targeted individual. So right now, as we speak, are there helicopters outside your...
I was going to say, it's about the time when they come out. I don't know what the range is of this computer. I don't know if you'd be able to see the sky, because oftentimes when you look through a camera, things look further away and smaller. But they're definitely up there tonight. It's almost dark enough. I looked last night and I was imagining myself wanting to carry the computer downstairs and outside and turning it up at the sky and letting people look in real time at what I have to see every night. And most people would look up in the sky and think that what they're seeing is stars or planets, and there are some of those up there, but what we're seeing is helicopters, the celestial sky that can be light years away. That can be hundreds of thousands of miles away. We're talking about lights that are in the sky between 5,000 and 7,000 feet up, depending on where they're located. And when I say that I see 30 to 40 helicopters and drones around my house and property in the sky every night, those are just the ones that I can see and that I can count. There's also other areas that I can't see and I can't count. And at some point, people have to see it. I had some people working here a couple of months ago, and I tried to tell them, they said they'd read about my books. And I tried to explain to them, I said, well, if you stay late enough tonight, you'll see something. And they stayed late, and they were absolutely awed. They could not believe what they were seeing. They thought that I was kidding. They were like, sure, okay, Mr. Bell, we'll see. And I said, okay, well, wait till it gets dark. And they were blown away. They couldn't believe. And not only could they not believe all of the lights in the sky that they were seeing, but it's even harder to believe that they're there for one person. It's not like I live in a neighborhood where they'd have, I have a huge place here, and it's about a quarter mile between houses. So, or more, or even a half a mile to the next house. So there's no other reason for anyone to be up there. And the other thing is that all of my neighbors are involved, I believe. Either I believe that they are being paid to participate and coerced if they don't want to, and perhaps threatened if they don't want to. But if they're going to pay their rent and their electricity and pay the money, and they can't say no to those things. And once they've accepted, there's no turning back for them.
And how do you, well, perhaps they're coerced, or perhaps are they told some narrative about Michael Fitzhugh Bell that makes
I
them want to
believe.
participate?
I don't believe that they're being given the truth. I don't believe that they're told that they're being part of a military neurological weapons testing program. I don't believe that's what they're probably saying, that because of all the helicopters on being illegally placed on the counterterrorism watch list, they're probably told that I'm either a terrorist or I remember confronting one of my neighbors a couple of years ago and I said, I asked him, point blank, kind of caught him off guard. And I said, I don't know what they're telling you about me. If that maybe they're telling you that I'm a terrorist or something. And he says, oh, I have to go now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to go. I could tell that I'd caught him off guard and he didn't know how to respond because I was looking him right in the eye and there was no getting away from it. So, but if you see the pieces of property around me and all the activity, I mean, if I go outside, when I go outside to photograph the the helicopters and the drones, I can hear on the road directly beneath my property, I can hear electric golf carts. As soon as my door opens up and I step out onto my back porch, I can hear golf carts out there and there's people down there on them. And if I start photographing them, they'll leave, but they'll come back. Or if I go down there with my camera, they'll leave. But as soon as I come back up to the house, they'll be back.
So you may be the number one employer in your
Oh, when I move, the sky will be black again. There'll be normal stars and planets up there, and there'll be no more money for my neighbors. It'll be going toward wherever I move to, that neighborhood, wherever that may be. It's it's ongoing.
Since you're on a terrorist watch list, are you able to get on a plane? I mean, you can't fly anywhere, can you?
No, I'm still able to get on a plane, and I'm still able to uh, to travel, and if I want to, but that's where I get most of my. That's where if when I travel, when I go to an airport or on an airplane, the wherever I've been placed on the plane or whatever seat that I pick, all the people around me will be part of this group. Will be paid people to harass me and to bother me and to put fear into me. That's part of the reason. Um, one of the well, there's many reasons, but being keeping the targeted individual in a state of fear forces them to not think things out well enough. And also, in that state of fear, it's supposed to be easier to manipulate the person and to be able to make them make a bad decision or whatever decision they're pushing me toward. Uh, if you're in a traumatic state, or if you're, if you're afraid, if you're fearful, it's easier to manipulate and mind control a person under those circumstances. So they try to keep that person in that state all the time. So when I leave, if I leave during the night, there'll be a helicopter or two following me on the highway. I mean, if people are in my car with me, they can see it. And from the highway, my house is a couple of miles back in the woods from the highway. But in the wintertime, when all the leaves are down, you can see where my house is from the highway. And if it's at night, there'll be a crown of lights in the sky above my house. I've had people with me and I say, you see that spot over there? And they said, yeah, what's going on over there? I said, that's my house. Those are helicopters. You'll see when we get up to my house. And then they don't believe me, but then when they're there and then they see there's a variety of drones too, not just the military drones. There's also the smaller type of drones that a person would get on Amazon, those kind of drones, the kind of drone you'd have to just fly around for fun. There's those drones, there's professional military drones. Um, it's every, I mean, it's all night, every night. I get that in the sky. And the reason that they're spending the money, it's for the data extraction. So, and also another thing that I mentioned in American, that I talk about in American Cyborg is the frequencies that are coming off of the what's believed to be the fully implanted targeted individual.
This is the Med
The,
64 biomedical device?
I'm sorry?
Is this the Med 64 biomedical device you're referring to?
That's correct. The Med 64 system is it's a system that allows in this case, the perpetrators, it's an actual medical system it's a device used to monitor, interpret, and collect data from a human being remotely, wirelessly from an implanted device such as a cardiac pacemaker, a coronary stent, cardiac defibrillators, and also other biomedical implants. The data is collected via the Med64 system, done so instantly at light speed. The criminal cabal handler teams are believed to have access, receive training on, and use this device outside the device's legitimate medical intent usage in performing their surveillance and data extraction performed illegally on victims who have been implanted with advanced biomedical and nanotechnology devices. Using the Med64 system allows handlers to record, monitor reactions, emotions, and medical body responses. I'm just referring to some of my notes here.
That's
Given
okay.
stimuli, including heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, core temperature, in real time. The Med64 system recognizes body frequency signals from implanted devices, which in turn are used in specific tests and experiments being conducted in complete secrecy without any official government knowledge on what is estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on unsuspecting victims worldwide nightly.
All right, Michael, I got to jump in, got to take another time out. Back with more Michael Fitzhugh Bell, American Cyborg. What would it feel like to reclaim your health, your vitality, to sleep deeply, to live fully, to address health at the root, at the cellular level, so that your body can detect damage where you have it? Imagine living younger, longer, having the energy to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Discomfort fading away. ASEA Redox Supplement harnesses the power of your body to heal itself, giving you the ability to power your potential. This is one of the most profound health, athletic, and anti-aging discoveries of our lifetime, and we need the world to know about it. If you want to learn more about ASEA, visit strangeplanet.teamasea.com, strangeplanet.teamasea.com, and be sure to text or call my colleague and friend Lynn at 443-254-6024, 443-254-6024 to order or for additional information. ASEA Redox Supplement. It's truly wellness redefined. American Cyborg. This is part 3 in Michael Fitzhugh Bell's series. Began with Invisible Crime Part 2, and now American Cyborg, detailing his decades of life as a targeted individual. Let me go back to something I sort of was trying to get at earlier, and that has to do with the perps.
Yes.
Are you any closer, after researching for American Cyborg 3, in identifying an exact, I don't know, a government agency or perhaps a black ops program underneath some agency? Do you know where this is all stemming from?
Well, I know that the primary handler teams, my particular handler teams, are composed of operatives believed to be using classified technologies which enable remote viewing, monitoring, tracking, torturing, mind mining, dream inserting, electronic sleep depriving targeted individuals 24/7 outside the law with complete impunity. And then that's just the primary handler team. And then you have the organized stalkers, which are contract group stalkers. They are cause stalkers or gang stalkers working at the street level as foot soldiers, following, leading, and harassing targeted individuals wherever they go out in public globally. And then you have something which my research indicates to be unwitting perpetrators, believed to be mind-controlled ordinary citizens that harass targeted individuals on an unconscious level, unaware of their actions, being remotely directed by their own set of handlers. And the handler teams are believed to be composed of a minimum of 4 people working in 12-hour shifts with 2 people posted at each shift. Some handler teams will have as many as 6 to 8 team members working in 6 to 8-hour shifts with 2 people posted at each shift, operating 24/7, 365 days a year. Each team will most likely have a computer specialist, as the manipulation of the targeted individual's computer and email are a crucial part of the mind control process. Each team will also likely have a psychologist as well as an electronics specialist for phone tapping and manipulation of the electrical grid of the targeted individual's residence. The handler teams are reportedly deluded into thinking that the ongoing human experimentation tests that they are conducting are for reasons other than that of military research. It's unlikely that perpetrators will ever come forward to reveal their operations, as it's highly illegal and breaks dozens of laws. Perhaps the conscience of at least one of these basically good people will drive them to expose the crucial and inhumane crime against humanity.
Okay, but we still don't know whether it's U.S. Navy intelligence, whether it's deep inside
It's
Department of Homeland Security.
it's all of those. It's the National Guard. It's the FBI. It's the CIA. It's every government agency has it's been infiltrated. Local law enforcement, the medical community,
But who's
completely
directing it? Who's
infiltrated.
directing it? They're basically operating on, orders, but who's directing it, do you think?
The people who are controlling it is what I talk about in American Cyborg is what we call the globalist cabal, and that is the most elite, wealthiest group of people in the world that are controlling. They control the military. So you have people who are above the military, that the military takes their orders from, that the military gets paid by this group. Portions, the majority of the testing is coming from funding from taxpayer money. So, but the top people are the globalist cabal.
Are they
And
doing this? I mean, are they getting some sort of, I don't know, gratification out of this, or is it strictly experimentation because they're gathering data, and at some point they're going to launch this like worldwide?
right, well, I'd say that the reasons targeted individuals are believed being exploited for include some of the following: medical testing to see if certain types of cancer can be caused or mutated simply through the power of suggestion, various unknown mind-controlled experiments, ritualistic torture and sadistic gratification, psychological and physical experimentation, human trafficking, perverse forms of entertainment and voyeurism, to see if the sexual orientation of a person can be changed, heterosexual to homosexual, homosexual to heterosexual, to determine which techniques and methods get the best results, to have targeted individuals believe things that are absurd, that don't happen or exist. An example would be the U.S. intelligence community convinced a young Muslim at Guantanamo Bay that he'd lost his hands and legs, even though he had not lost them, to determine if targeted individuals can be influenced to commit treason or assassinate powerful political figures and not remember it, to see if targeted individuals can be made to think about dishonest actions when they are perfectly honest. Those are some of the reasons.
With you, do you feel as if things are ramping up, as if they have some special covert mission for you? I mean, do they want you to do something in particular, or are they just studying you? You're simply like a hamster in a cage.
I feel that my targeting specifically for me is seems to be something in the research and development area. I don't know of. I know of another person who's at my level of targeting, but he's in another program which he believes is the assassination program. He believes that they're trying to kill him in in ways that they're not trying to kill me. So he says in that respect that uh, that my targeting is different from his in that respect.
Are you in touch with any fellow targeted individuals? Are you part of a support group?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that. I have been in contact with some targeted individuals, but um, I found that most of those groups, if not all of them, have been infiltrated by perpetrators. And many of the people on a lot of these groups are actually perpetrators that are either trying to befriend a target or get information from them, uh, and to see what they know, the representing the perpetrators, to see how far targeted individuals have been able to put things together and put the pieces of the puzzle together. They want to see where they are, what their limitations are. They can only get that kind of information when the targeted individuals will give it to them. So there may be some groups that are legitimate, but there seems to be some element of corruption even in these groups. It's amazing how far the reach of the cabal is.
So with this book, American Cyborg, have you come to any conclusions in terms of how this can be stopped?
You know, I think that I talk about that in the last chapter, um, and the only way to, I mean, it's already been exposed a couple of times. I mean, if you look at, I mean, and people don't, you know, it's like they expose it a little bit and then they pull back. I mean, you look at the U.S. diplomats in Cuba claimed that they were attacked and tortured by ultrasonic acoustic weapons, causing severe headaches, pain, and permanent hearing damage. And the FBI and medical services and doctors were quick to respond and seemed quite familiar with the effects of these dangerous covert weapons. Yet, target individuals that are complaining and are being attacked by what is believed to be identical covert weapons are dismissed and declared mentally ill to cover up the truth. Also, I wanted to say that during my radio interviews, I believe my perpetrators use a similar frequency on me, trying to diminish my ability to communicate effectively to the listeners, jamming and dulling my focus, disorienting me as I try to form and convey thoughts, even sometimes mid-sentence compromising my credibility.
All right. So in conclusion, Michael, I mean, what is to be done aside from getting the information out there? What else can be done?
Well, I mean, education, I believe, is the only way. I mean, um, the best. That's what I've tried to do in my books. I've tried to. That's what's been the challenge for me, is to not only convey everything that I've gone through and explain it in ways that the average person can understand, but at the same time, to try to make it compelling and to try to make it readable, where it's something that the people want to learn, that they can't get enough of. That's what you want. You want people to be hungry for more knowledge. It's what it is. When you look at the global amount of information that's out there, it's been estimated that the the general public only has access to about 7 to 11% of all information. So that would be at the most 93% of the information being withheld from the general public, literally putting us back in the Stone Age, and having people like the globalist cabal and military being 100 years ahead of us technology wise. And it makes sense too.
American Cyborg. How do we get a copy?
You can go to my websites. I have two websites, invisiblecrime.com and michaelfbell.com. The books are available through Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and wherever fine books are sold.
All right, Michael, great to see you again. Be well, and I hope to talk again soon. Maybe we'll get you back on Coast.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate it. It was nice to see you and nice to be on the show again.
All right. Thank you. American Cyborg.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe at strangeplanetpodcast.com.